Welcome to today's session from Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhete girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhye evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. We are going to cover verses 21, chapter 1, verses 21 to verse 27. Verse 21 and 22. Senyor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapya Me Achyuta Yavad Eta Nirikeshe Aham Yudho Kaman Avasthitan Kair Maya Saha Yudhavyam Asmin Rana Samudyame. Arjun said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Verse 23. Yutsamanan avekshe aham ya ete atra samagataha dhatrashtrasya durbuddher yuddhe priye chikir shvaha. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Verse 24. Eva mukto Sanjaya Vacha Eva mukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senyor Ubhayor Madhye Sthapaitva Rathottamam. Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharat, having thus been addressed by Arjun, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. Verse 25. Bhishma Drona Pramukhataha Sarvesham cha Mahi Kshitam Uvacha Partha Pashaitan Samavetan Kurun iti. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. Verse 26. Tatra pashyat sthitan parthaha pitrin atha pitamahan acharyan matulan bhratrin potran sakhims tatha shvasuran suridas chaiva senyor ubhayor api. There Arjun could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. Verse 27. Tan samikshya sa konteyaha sarvan bandhun avasthitan kripaya Paryavishto Vishidan idam abravit. When the son of Kunti, Arjun, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So the uncertainty of the war is shown in the verses 21 to 27. Now Arjun knows that he is fighting for the virtue and not for the evil. But still he feels very uncertain, very unsure, very disturbed about fighting his opponents. His opponents, we know, are his relatives. The chariots were all ready, The arrows were all drawn, and the sounds which are typical to the battle could be heard on the battlefield. Now, as if everything was ready for the commencement of the war, but Arjun wanted to have one final look at the armies of the uh, both the sides. Now he ordered Krishna, his charioteer. That's why Krishna is also called Parthasarthi, to drive the chariot to the middle of the battlefield so that he could survey both the armies and give some kind of reassurance to himself, as he was feeling very anxious. Now the circumstances were very extreme, very intense. Arjun took his time to think about the situation. His heart and mind were still trying to come to terms with the stubbornness of Duryodhan's mind. We can just imagine his mind must be racing here and there. Now, Prabhupada says in his purport that peacemaking was completely out of question. So Arjun had no other choice but to just oversee the ones assembled for fight, and their sole desire of being part of an army which wanted to fight a war which could have been avoided easily. Arjun wanted to see the strength of the army he had to face, so he went right in the middle of the battlefield with Krishna on the chariot. Now he was at the same time very certain of the victory as well in his mind somewhere, as Krishna was present on his chariot. Krishna could understand why Arjun wanted to take the chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Now Arjun is referred to as Gudakesh, which is conqueror of sleep and ignorance. Krishna refers to him as Gudakesh. Now he is in a real samadhi, absorbed in God's thought constantly. And Krishna is Rishikesh. He is the director of the senses. So who better than Krishna to understand the mind of Arjun? Krishna wanted Arjun to observe the Kurus, the opponents. Krishna calls Arjun Partha as well, which means the son of his aunt Pritha, which is Kunti. Now, Arjun saw all the relatives on the battlefield and also friends. Arjun was the one with compassion, and he was full of many moral reasons not to fight. Now, God is waiting for us that we surrender to him so he can establish the dharma again. God is Bhaktavatsal, ready to serve the devotees, his bhaktas. The relationship between the Lord and his devotees is like that. Both the Lord and his devotees are eager to serve each other. Lord, out of his causeless mercy, was serving his devotee as an ordinary servant. Among the millions of warriors present, Krishna drove the chariot past Arjun's guru and his grandfather to show him how determined they were to oppose him in the battle. Arjun felt the same compassion he had for all the relatives and friends prior to the assembly of all in the battlefield. So his feelings were same for the people assembled on the battlefield. From verse 28, Arjun gives reasons for desiring not to fight. Krishna rejects them all. His reason being Number one, compassion. Arjun does not want to kill his loved ones. He has a lot of compassion for them. Second is enjoyment. Arjun doesn't want to enjoy the kingdom at the cost of his family members. And then last is the destruction of family. He could see the irreligion gaining force due to the death of so many Kshatriyas. Women of the family could be, or should we say, would be corrupted by the opportunistic men around, and that will give rise to unwanted progeny in the society. All the family tradition would be lost, and nobody would be doing any Vedic rituals in the family to carry the traditions of the family forward. So there would be hell for both the sides of the family, for the side which gets destroyed and the one which will destroy the other. And there's one more reason. Arjun has got the fear of sinful reactions. Arjun thinks he would have to go through the sinful reactions for destroying the family and killing the superiors, and the enjoyment wouldn't be worth the fight. Arjun is right in his thinking because he's very pious in his thinking. He understands the Shastras. He has got Krishna as his guide, and Krishna explains, Krishna knows Arjun's mind as well, but Krishna is letting Arjun say whatever he wishes to say to Krishna, so that actually the future yugas, which was going to be Kali Yuga, the yuga we are all in, so the people of Kali Yuga could benefit from Arjun's dilemmas and Krishna's answers. Now Arjun has also a lot of indecision as well. Arjun doesn't agree that it is not better to win over the other side, because Arjun thinks that if they win, what battle they will bring for the Hastinapur, as the kingdom is already prospering under Duryodhan's rule. Now he's thinking millions of people will die just to make him and his family, that is the Pandavas, the rulers. Arjun is also very soft-hearted. He can see the consequences of the war. He knows the Shastras very well. He's intelligent and he's got some big values passed on by the elders in the family to him. Now, because of his qualities, Arjun's heart is breaking when he sees his friends and his relatives all very eager and ready to fight. Now, this makes him feel as if no harm will come as a result of this war. This is what it seems to Arjun, that everybody present in the war, in the other side, they are oblivious to the harm which will come from the war itself. They can't see the consequences. They're all very eager to go through this war, and which is very uncertain, and uncertain in Arjun's mind. Arjun doesn't know whether he should fight or shouldn't fight, and he is going through these five dilemmas, we can say, in his dilemmas, or the worries going through Arjun's mind. First is out of Arjun's compassion. He doesn't want to kill anyone. Second is he does not want to enjoy the kingdom at the cost of his family members, whether they are fighting against him. Now, the third is the destruction of the family, the irreligiosity coming forth due to this war, and the family losing all the tradition. And then fourth is the fear of sinful reactions. He can see that even if he wins, it won't be worth it, because he would have blood of so many family members on his hands. And the last is the indecision in Arjun's head. Arjun doesn't agree that it is not better to win over the other side, because something which is already prospering as a kingdom, has got a good standing in the world, would be destroyed, and he doesn't think that he is going to make it any better in future. And he is a devotee of Krishna, he is soft-hearted as well, and he is not at all ready to fight. So we'll continue with verses 28, 30 and verses 31 to 42 tomorrow. So thank you for joining. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.